I call to order this regularly scheduled meeting of the 34th City Council for November 14, 2023 at 7 p.m. Just a reminder, everyone in the audience, if you can please silence your phones and communication devices to not disturb the meeting. Madam Clerk, can we have the roll?
Councilman Enos.
Here.
Councilman Hammoud.
Here.
Councilman Abraham.
Here.
Councilman Paris.
Here.
Councilman Al-Sawafi.
Here.
Councilwoman Herrick.
Here.
Council President Sereni.
Here.
Council President, we have a quorum.
All right, thank you. At this time, I'd like to turn the meeting over to Councilman Gary Enos. Gary?
At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce Reverend Mark Phillips of Cherry Hill Presbyterian Church, who will give the invocation at tonight's meeting. Everyone who is able, please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. O God of many names, O Holy One of justice and mercy, we thank you for the gift of life, and we thank you for the gift of the opportunity to serve one another in our city. Help us to act with character and conviction. Help us to listen with understanding and goodwill. Remind us that we are all stewards of your authority. Help us to see the humanity and the dignity of those who disagree with us, and to treat all persons with the reverence your creation deserves. And finally, Holy One, renew us with the strength of your presence and the joy of helping to build a community worthy of the human person. We pray for your presence. We pray for your peace to be with us in this room tonight, in our community, in our nation, and in our world. We make our prayer confident in your goodness and your love. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend. All right, at this time, can we have next item, Madam Clerk?
Number 4, resolution by Council President Pro Tem Herrick, supported unanimously, acknowledging L. Glenn O'Cray and Christopher Merlot on receiving the prestigious Best Book Private Printing 2023 Award from the Historical Society of Michigan for their most recent book, Stories from the Sidewalk, a walk through 137 years that shaped Dearborn, and requesting immediate effect.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This time, I would like to turn over to Council President Pro Tem Herrick to say a few words as she was offering. And then we're going to take a second to have Mr. O'Cray and Merlot can come up and address the council, say a few words. After that, we will have the council go down in front for the presentation and the photograph. Councilwoman Herrick?
Thank you, Council President. We are so fortunate to have a lot of dedicated volunteers who work with our historical museum and work to educate the public about historic places in our city that have contributed to the unique place that we are and where we are today. 2 of those gentlemen have written several books documenting some of the historic architecture here and telling the stories of the people that have brought us to where we are today, who've lived in the homes documented in the books. So we're proud today to present them each with a citation acknowledging the award that they received from the Historical Society of Michigan. As you heard, Stories from the Sidewalk, a walk through 137 years that shaped Dearborn. Chris Merlot and Glenn O'Cray, we commend you for your exceptional contribution to literature in Michigan, and we thank you for memorializing the stories and homes of residents who have made contribution to Dearborn's fascinating history. So thank you, gentlemen, for your efforts in this book and the others, and for keeping a positive spotlight on Dearborn's past. And if you'd like to come up and say a few words, thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, you guys can take each one, if you like, if it's easier for you. There you go.
Mayor Hammoud, Council President Sereni, Council Pro Tem Herrick, and all council members, thank you so much for this honor. It's really an honor to be here in front of you, and thank you so much. Also, thank you to all our benefactors that made the publishing of this book possible, including a dedicated group of researchers that worked over the course of 3 years to bring this book to publication. And on top of all that, all proceeds from the sale of the book go to the Museum Guild of Dearborn. And at this point, we've already raised about $17,000 for the Guild. So
That's excellent. I wasn't aware of that.
thank you to all our supporters. And if you haven't bought a book, it's on sale now at the museum. So.
So, Craig?
752 Wagner Court. I'd like to thank the council and the mayor for this recognition, and I'd like to thank the gang of 9 that we had writing this book. They include Maria Fogarassi, Nancy Harmon, Karen Milligan, Sharon Morton, Rebecca Pavey, Elizabeth Podges, Ian Tomaszek, and the photographers Bruce Harkness and Alan Balaka.
Thank you. Excellent. At this time, the council, we're going to come down and have the presentation. Mayor, if you'd like to join us. No, you go ahead. Do you want to use mine?
Thank you to Councilman Paris, so we can show this in the photo as well. And this one's for Chris. So we'll start with Jackie, and then we'll look at other timelines and be sure first.
Thank you for doing that for us.
I don't know if I even, yeah, I don't think I do.
Okay, Madam Clerk, can we go to the next item?
Number 5, resolution by council members Sereni and Hamud, calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza and requesting immediate effect.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. We are going to start with Councilman Hamud. Councilman Hamud?
Yeah, so I do want to add just one thing to the resolution. I want to ensure that if we do pass it tonight, it's sent to the offices of the Michigan Governor, the Attorney General, President Biden, and our Michigan congressional representatives, including our 2 senators
Yes.
and our state.
I've already instructed Jackie,
Okay.
but not the House of Representatives or the.
House Representatives and our senators.
Yes, we'll do that as well.
Okay.
I've already instructed most of that, but I appreciate that. We
Okay.
will make sure that happens.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll start out reading the statements so that people know what we're going to be voting on today, and then I assume we'll get into regular order. So,
Yep.
whereas the ongoing loss of thousands of innocent civilian lives in the Middle East represents a tragedy of global proportions, be it further, whereas the decades-long occupation has led to the displacement of thousands of individuals from their homes, either due to the absence of peace and security or as a consequence of the destruction of their residence.
Whereas United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has stated, when one looks at the number of civilians that were killed with the military operations, there is something that is clearly wrong. Be it further.
And whereas over 2 million Palestinians in Gaza are facing dire circumstances, lacking access to essential necessities such as shelter, clean drinking water, food, electricity, and medical supplies. Be it further.
Whereas there exists a substantial risk This conflict may further destabilize the Middle East, posing a threat to global peace and security. Be it further.
Whereas harmful rhetoric has already caused an apparent rise of anti-Semitism, Islamophobia in the United States, endangering all our communities. Be it further.
Whereas every individual deserves the right to live in an environment marked by peace, freedom, dignity, justice, and fundamental human rights, both here and abroad. Therefore, be it
Resolved that the 34th Dearborn City Council calls upon President Biden, all elected officials, and all policymakers to employ their influence and authority to advocate for an immediate ceasefire. Be it further resolved that we implore our federal government to facilitate the unrestricted flow of humanitarian aid into Gaza for the purpose of preserving innocent lives, reinstating peace and stability, and preventing the further proliferation of violence to neighboring regions at home. Be it further resolved that we urge the federal and state government to safeguard the lives of all citizens, both by facilitating a safe evacuation of U.S. citizens from the region and ensuring that threats to our community are monitored and mitigated. This resolution is passed unanimously unless we hear an objection. Hearing none, it is attached. Next item.
Public comment?
Thank you. Okay, the next item of business will be the council's public comment section that is moved to the beginning of the meeting, which for 30 minutes, there is a 3-minute time limit. The time will be kept by Madam Clerk. She will notify you when there's 30 seconds remaining. Remember, if there's any item that you want to speak on in general, the item, I recommend that you wait until that item is called. This time is for other public comments that you'd like to bring forward. So we do have public cards that you could fill out, and if you did not fill one out, we will call in the next, once we go through these cards, so for you to come up. Remember, when you come up, please state your name and address for the record. First, we have Mozan.
Oh, me?
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, Dearborn.
No, ma'am.
Nice to see you.
Ma'am. Professor.
Palestine.
Professor.
Yes.
Professor.
Thank you.
I kindly ask, you've been here many times.
Yes, I have.
This is not for you to speak to the audience.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I understand. Please address the council, and we want to make sure we have an orderly meeting, okay? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Council President Serini and everyone else. It's good to be here, good to be back. I want to thank you for the resolution you just passed. That was wonderful. But I want to ask you to please add something to it. If you can't add to it because it's already passed, have another resolution which clearly states we want to cut off military aid to Israel. Ypsilanti, a city not too far from here, just passed that very resolution. We are against military aid to Israel. You guys are all old enough to remember how many ceasefires we have seen in Palestine. Yet as long as we keep pumping billions and billions of dollars to apartheid state of Israel, we will see more and more of these massacres happen. So I want to ask everyone here to please contemplate, put together another resolution, if you can't add it to this one, that says we are against military aid to Israel. That is the key issue. If we say ceasefire, yeah, that's needed, that's got to be done. But ceasefire alone is gonna be, we ceasefire now, and in a month or in 2 months, we will start bombing. Because we are giving them billions of dollars worth of ammunition, worth of support that they will make into bombs and then make it into these horrendous things that cuts people up into pieces. And you can see it on media everywhere. So the main thing is for you to please add another resolution, make up another one, whatever you see fit, that says we are against military aid to Israel. And that has already been done elsewhere. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. All right, next we have Blaine Coleman.
Yeah. Hi, Council President, council members. Thank you very much for this resolution. The ceasefire is desperately needed. And as Dr. Moshgan said, asking the government to cut off the military aid to Israel is the thing that tells them that you're serious. We're old enough to remember all the ceasefires coming and going, and somehow Israel manages to keep killing thousands of Palestinians, thousands of Lebanese people over and over and over again. Now, you cut off the military aid, or at least you say, we object to the military aid, at least that much, and you're saying we're serious about human life. We're tired of these constant massacres. And so, you know, the Ypsilanti City Council just did that. The Ypsilanti City Council just passed a resolution at their November 7th meeting, and it included, we are against military aid to Israel. You may also know the Richmond, California City Council approved a resolution almost unanimously. We are against military aid to Israel, among other things. And so I hope you can find it in your hearts, and I think you can, to add a sentence to this resolution, or, as Dr. Mushkan said, make a second resolution. We are against military aid to Israel. We don't have the authority to pass or unpass military aid, but we are against military aid to Israel. We object to it. We have the right to object to it. We have the duty to object to it. 11,000 people are dead in Gaza right now. We don't know how many more are going to be dead because the hospitals are busted and they can't record the dead. You know all this. So I think probably no one on the council would object to adding that sentence. How would you say it? Be it further resolved, we are against military aid to Israel. And as I say, if that's really not possible, maybe you can do a second resolution. We are against military aid to Israel. You're in good company. Ypsilanti City Council, Richmond, California City Council, Dearborn City Council will be number 3. And then what you've done is you're guaranteeing there's going to be a city council number 4, number 5, number 6. And before the week's over, you'll see Ilhan Omar trying to get the Congress to cut off the bombs to Israel. That's happening sometime this week. And so there will be a snowball of people saying not only ceasefire, which is needed, but for God's sake, cut off the military aid to Israel. That's my opinion, and thank you for listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Next, we have Amr Zar.
Good evening. First of all, my name is Amr Zahar. I live live in Outer. Do you mind my full address, Council President?
You don't have to.
Okay, cool. I live on Outer Drive in West Dearborn. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you for passing this resolution. I'd like to thank our mayor, too, for the strong words he's had publicly about standing up for Palestinian rights. And I would encourage you all to keep your minds open for further resolutions that might be necessary in the interest of justice as we move forward. I know it's not easy in America. We all know, maybe nobody more than me, that it's not easy to speak out for Palestinian rights, and so what you did tonight is very courageous. And I thank you as a Palestinian, and I know other Palestinians and Arabs here have been directly affected by everything that's happening in Palestine. But it is important for us, especially here in Dearborn, as the home of the largest concentration of Arab Americans anywhere, as the unofficial Arab American capital, to always be at the forefront of these things because it will come up again. It can't be that we do what we do tonight and we just move on and say as public elected officials we did what we had to do. What you did tonight was very important and noteworthy, but there will be probably times, because I don't think this is ending anytime soon, where we might have to talk more about this with a unified voice as a city council to further say we believe in boycotting Israel. We believe in boycotting products that are made in Israel. We believe in boycotting companies that fund the Israeli military because it breaches international law every day. Those are important, monumental things that we need to say and we need to be on top of here in this Dearborn City Council. But what you did tonight was important, and it was something that needed to be done and something that needed to be done in our city. As you know, we have had a lot of actions in this city and in Detroit to show the community's unity and support for a ceasefire. So thank you for doing what you did tonight. Please don't stop talking about it, though. Please continue to be people that represent this city. Again, home to the largest concentration of Arab Americans. every single one of which has been affected in one way or another by the last 75 years of ethnic cleansing and genocide and apartheid. So I encourage you to keep speaking up about it. If you need any help, I'm always here. If you need I'm always here to support and help in any way, and I believe the whole community is here to support and help all of our elected officials who are willing to speak up for justice all the time, no matter what. So thank you very much, and thanks for listening to all of us.
Thank you. Mohammed Abu Faida? Aida, I apologize.
Hi, Counselor. Hi, Mayor.
Just your name again.
Mohammed Abu Aida. I'm the resident of Dearborn. I would like to say thank you for the passing the resolution, the ceasefire resolutions. It's really that I want to speak about me myself. I'm the one who I have relatives in Gaza, which is I lost over 80 people of my members, probably more. Still, we couldn't find what's the rest under the ground. That was like 10 days ago. And my wife lost her aunt, two of her sisters, and my sister-in-law lost her sister too. That was like a week ago. It's getting way beyond what we're thinking. All I'm asking our government to stop supporting the machine, Israel, of all the killing they're doing and the genocides of Gaza, of innocents, kids and women, and all those people that really they need to live their lives. They need to have their human right as anyone in this room who wants to raise his family in peace. And it's taken too long. It's over 37 days. People can't take it anymore. It's really hardly even talk to them. No communications, no food, no waters. They're going, as they're saying, go away to the south. Guess what? They're killing them in a way going there. They have nowhere to go. All I'm asking is just let our government stop this. It has to be stopped immediately. And I thank you again for your support. And I thank you for transferring that message to our government to stop supporting Israel for killing these people. Thank you all.
Thank you, Abu Aida, and I'll be again, sorry for your losses. Next, we have Fatin Nasser.
Hello, I'm
Just your-
Fatin Nassar. This is my daughter Serena Nassar and our kiddies who are also here to stand against what is happening. I would like to thank you for what you have done so far, and as everybody else said so far, that you can do more. You have the power. We are only voices, but you are powerful. You are one of those politicians who are sitting, and it's in your hand. We brought the kiddies to also show the world that if they don't have sympathy for human beings and children and babies, maybe they'll sympathize with cats. I know it sounds funny, but cats found dead under the rubble, cats injured under the rubble, cats who have no one to take care of them anymore because their owners have been bombed and killed or injured, cats who cannot seek medical care because hospitals are being bombed, etc., etc. I think we all know what is happening. And also to stop the military aid to the Israel government. Please, also, I urge everyone who's watching this to please educate yourself through other platforms than the American media. Our American media doesn't show everything that is happening. Use any and every platform, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, I don't know what else is out there, and see what is truly happening. The real life videos, not videos that have been edited or programmed, danger to our democracy, etc. No. As you can see, us Muslims, us Arabs, living besides everybody else here in the United States, do we look like terrorists? Do we do what is being done by the Israeli government? Not even near that. We live amongst Jewish people, Christians, Buddhists, atheists, LGBT. We are all living here peacefully with our children, with our pets. The world needs to know and speak up, and I want to thank the world so far for those who have been speaking up, for those Jewish, Christians, atheists, etc., IDF soldiers. I want to thank them, and I want to thank you, and I know you will make a difference, and I believe there's still good people in the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next we have Fatmi Jesmi.
Hello. I'm here to say that I lived most of my life in fear because I faced discrimination. I never spoke up because I was too afraid. But I'm here today because I want to say my name out loud. And I don't care if my face will be caught on camera. My name is Fatima Jassim. I'm putting my fear on the side because I want to speak for those innocents in Palestine. So please. Speak. Please go out your way. If you have to put your fame on the side, do whatever you have to do for those innocent lives. Please do not do the mistakes that they're doing. Please put your benefits on the side. Please look at those innocent children being killed and speak up for them. What if it was your child? We've seen the occupation happen for years and years before I was born, okay, before anybody here was born. And now we have to speak up for, I don't know what. We don't have enough information. We just see that Palestinians being slaughtered in front of us, and we can't do anything. There must be something we can do. It must be beyond. So I ask people to maybe stop shopping for one day only, or do not go to work for one day only, and they didn't do it. They didn't do it, and I expect way more. We are all humans, and we have to stand up for humanity, and we have to stand up for those innocent lives. Please do whatever you need to do to cease fire. Not only cease fire, make sure there is peace. It is 2023, and there is no reason whatsoever that kids should be slaughtered in front of us, and we can't do anything about it. For God's sake, it's 2023. I haven't slept for over a month. That's why I'm here. Cut off military aid to Israel. Jewish people, we respect them, but why are they getting specialized treatment? When I've been afraid to speak up my whole life, nobody spoke up about anti-Islam. And if we speak about the genocide, they get what do you call it? I can't speak up right now. They get offended. Just because we love the children and we want them to be safe like our own children, it doesn't mean we hate anybody else.
I'm sorry, your time is up.
Thank you very much, Ms. There is some speaker cards on both tables. Next speaker we have is Dr. Mazin.
Good evening, Council. Good evening, Mayor. My name is Mazin Alatrash. I'm a Dearborn City resident. First of all, I want to thank you for taking the courageous and brave step in the world we live in, where anything you speak against Israel can be condemned and you're labeled as an anti-Semitic. So thank you, first of all, for taking this courageous step. It is a step in the right direction, but on behalf of all of us, it's not enough. We need to do more. We are living in a culture and in a society and in a country where there is propaganda, there's mislabeling, the truth is not being spread out there. We should all do our best to educate and show the truth to our neighbors, to our friends, to our non-Arab residents in the city and in the state. We should show our governor what the reality is and ask her to stop this blind support, and we should show that to the country. I believe that I was living in a country that respected human rights and respected democracy, and I am feeling like I'm living a lie. That's how I feel, and I was born and raised here. This is a country that I'm proud to call myself an American. But I feel like I'm living a lie when someone speaks their mind and their truth, and they're censored, and their First Amendment right is taken away from them. This is not democracy, and this is not the country that everybody has put their soul in to build. And I really am ashamed to be saying that, but this is the truth. Our tax dollars are going to this war machine, and I am totally against that, against paying a penny of my tax dollars to support this killing. So we need to, and I congratulate you for passing the ceasefire. I agree with all the sentiments about denying funding, boycotting companies that support Israel, and hopefully this is just the beginning. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you, Don. All right, next we have Alexis Zaydan.
Good evening, everybody. Want to share that I grew up in Alexis Zaydan. I want to share that I grew up in Dearborn. My parents still reside here, but I'm now actually a resident of Detroit. But just want to name that, I grew up here, and the culture of Dearborn actually transcends beyond its borders. And I had the privilege of having a conversation with Mayor Abdullah Hammoud a week ago and really learned the importance of what happens behind the scenes versus what happens in front of everybody. And I just want to acknowledge and share gratitude for the support and the passing of the resolution, but want to provide you all with maybe a quick action item to really engage in this week. As I'm sure many of you know that Detroit City Council is currently looking to water down their ceasefire resolution and denying for it to go to the floor to pass for a resolution. And I think that there is real power and truth to a collective system. And I deeply believe that you all have a duty within the next week to engage in conversation with these council members to overcome their own fear and to really be brave in a time where bravery is a dire need. We all know that the occupation needs to end. We all know a ceasefire is required. We all know there should be no more U.S. aid to Israel. What I think matters most right now is which of our elected officials are willing to lean into their bravery and to value the people over the power, and to value the collectivism over the corruption. And I just really would want to urge you all to really engage in conversation with city council members, at least in Detroit, to also understand the importance of passing their ceasefire resolution versus, leaning more into fear and not facing that. So I just want to say thank you for your support, and just really want to urge you to think beyond the confines of Dearborn, to think how we could show up as a collective community. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, at this time, there's no more speaker cards. Is anyone else would like to address the council? You may step forward to speak. We still have a few minutes left on our, Madam Clerk, or we passed the 30-minute?
No.
Okay, if there's no one else, I can tell you, because we're going to go into the agenda, just to thank everyone for coming and their participation. These are very difficult times. I heard some things said about, what can we do, what we can do. This is about humanity. I have children, a lot of our grandchildren, people on here have children, and we're seeing what's happening. I can say, when you say, what can we do? It is making a difference. There is protesting, peaceful protesting going out throughout the world. It is making a difference. And there is now communications talking about to stop bombing hospitals, and the hospitals are off limits, finally, hopefully. We'll get to that stage. It's not easy. We do know that our job is a local government, and historically, myself personally, have never used this office or my office or the council office to entertain international affairs. I made that abundantly clear. In the past, I've made my own statements from my own office. This time, it was different. And I did call each member on the council. And as you've seen today, each one read a portion of the resolution. We are unified in this situation. And we just hope that humanity will prevail, and the peaceful protesting throughout the world is making a difference, and your voices are being heard. So I'd like to thank everyone that did come and attend. When you say, what can you do? You can do things, and the little things you do add up. We do hear your voices, and it is being heard throughout the world. Thank you all for coming tonight.
Council President.
Okay, Councilman Al-Sawafi.
Thank you, Council President. This resolution is simple. It's calling to seize the killing of women and children, mostly women and children. And for those that I hear and I see that, calling for further violence, I'm an Army veteran. I've been through war. You don't want war. Just 8 months ago while I was on deployment, our base was hit with a rocket. And I was one of those that helped pull the charcoaled body of an American from the rubbles. And this scene, and that happened one time, over a year in a deployment. And this scene of destruction and death has happened over 10,000 times in Gaza. So please, continue supporting the ceasefire. Thank you.
Councilman Paris.
Thank you, Council President. I want to go in a little bit of a different angle here, folks, and I know that I have your attention on this, but, we know our community. I've lived in this community the vast majority of my life. I do want to say that I'm sorry for all the people impacted by the devastation caused by this deadly conflicts everywhere. I know that our community has also been greatly affected by the recent events. We're all experts in our lived experiences, and we all have various backgrounds and perspectives. A great amount of discernment is needed with so much misinformation, so much disinformation, and even malinformation about so many events occurring in the world right now. People just want to live in peace with their families and neighbors, and I stand with innocent people who have been killed, injured, or greatly impacted by war or conflict. As stated by Julian Assange just a few short years ago, if wars can be started by lies, then peace can be started with truth. Our community is hurting. I'm praying for peace. With that being said, I'm fully aware of my responsibilities and my duties, and I will do whatever I can to protect and serve this community. The Dearborn City Charter in Section 8.1 states that the City Council shall provide for the public peace and health and safety of persons and their property. I will offer no other opinion other than publicly stated personal views that need to be put aside. There are a lot of people pushing for division. Local, state, and federal leaders and officials sometimes expose their personal views and add to the rhetoric. Their voice often carries great influence and impact upon many others. I will continue to pray for our humanity and strive for unity, compassion, and peace for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Mayor?
Thank you, Council President. For many who are tuning in, I think I want to provide some context because it feels as if the world started tuning into the conflict beginning October 7th. But the reality is this conflict has been unfolding for over 75 years, and I want to bring that to the forefront. Israel is an apartheid state, recognized by every international humanitarian organization, including organizations within Israel who recognize it as an apartheid military regime, and we have to call it out as such. Peace, in this case, certainly we call for peace and a ceasefire, but above all, you have to call for justice. Justice for the Palestinian people, and that means a free Palestine for all living throughout that area. I'm not Palestinian by blood, but I'm Palestinian in heart through and through. For those who are not aware, I've been active in BDS for over a decade now. Got my start at the university campuses I took a sabbatical from work in 2014, and I served with the United Nations Relief Work Agency in Amman, Jordan, which is the actual agency responsible for Palestinian refugees throughout the entire Middle East. And what I can tell you is there are heroes that work for that agency. And to date, over 100 of them have been brutally murdered by Israel. And they have the audacity to come before the United Nations Secretary Council and speak that, while they're not actually UN professionals, that they too are terrorists. And I think that is something that needs to be condemned. There are many people speaking information out there, but there's only one truth. The truth is that there is an indiscriminate killing and a genocide that's currently unfolding in Gaza and in the West Bank, where Hamas does not exist. Hamas is not what Israel is after. Hamas is the excuse. They are after the land, and they are after the second Nakba, where they prefer to cleanse the entirety of the land of all the Palestinians who that land is to their ancestors. You know, we hear testimony from our residents who have lost dozens of family members. You should look up to understand how many family registries have been deleted in Gaza due to the brutal massacre that's unfolding. You can talk to our residents who have these scars of war. Many of us are here because of it. Many of us are immigrants, refugees because of the wars that have unfolded overseas. You can speak to the Turfi family that dug out both of their grandmothers from under the rubble of an Israeli airstrike that bombed their home in South Lebanon. You can speak to many of families here who still have the cards that they carry, in which IDF soldiers had to stamp granting them permission to move freely within the villages in which they were raised and their parents were raised and their grandparents were raised. That is what is happening. It is apartheid. It is a brutal dictatorship that is on the ground right now. And when you have 75% of the over 11,000 that have been brutally murdered being women, children, and elderly, it is an indiscriminate killing and targeting and carpet bombing of all people that are there. It's not, to all elected officials and those who speak to this, I thank you. It's not easy. You get the pushback, and it's not the politically expedient thing to do, many will tell you. But history will be kind to you, and knowing that you stood on the side of truth. When you speak to civil rights heroes like Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, Nelson Mandela, history was not kind to them while they were alive. But it remembers them for standing on the right side of history, certainly after they departed, and maybe several decades after they stood what they stood for. Nelson Mandela was considered a terrorist by this country up until 2008. Keep that in mind, after serving nearly 30 years in jail in prison to end the apartheid regime that was in South Africa. And what's happening in Palestine is far worse, and it has to be called out as such. So thank you all so much for coming. We'll keep posting. But what I also want to echo is, if a ceasefire does come, I hope that's not the end of your voice, because a ceasefire is just the beginning, hopefully, on a pathway to justice for the Palestinian people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Madam Clerk, we return to the conclusion of the public comment, and the next item would be?
The next item would be number 7. Before we move to the next item, I just wanted to point out that item number 30 has been moved to the consent agenda as well. It's on page 4.
Absolutely. So before, that was a correction on the agenda. It was confirmed that was on our committee of the whole, that number 30 was a consent agenda item. Before we move to the rest of the consent agenda items, is there any member would wish to remove anything from the consent agenda and discuss it individually?
Yes, please. Number 9.
Councilman Al-Sawafi. Number 9. Madam Clerk, number 9 shall be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda for its reading.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions or comments on any other of the items? We would need a offer in support for the remaining items to be on the consent agenda.
Offer.
Offered by Councilman Al-Sawafi, supported by Councilwoman Herrick. Mr. Clerk, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilman Enos.
Yes.
Councilman Hammoud.
Yes.
Councilman Abraham.
Yes.
Councilman Paris.
Yes.
Councilman Al-Sawafi.
Yes.
Councilwoman Herrick.
Yes.
Council President Sereni.
Yes.
Unanimous roll call vote.
I'm sorry?
It was a unanimous.
Okay, 7-0, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, next item, please.
Okay.
So it'd be 9.
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you.
No problem.
Resolution by council members Al Sawafi and Enos awarding a contract to Eminent Excavating LLC in the amount of $2,101,167,000 with a contingency in the amount of $200,000 for water main replacement and asphalt street surfacing Phase 1, and authorizing the city engineer to execute all change orders or modifications that utilize all approved contingency. Also, authorizing the finance director to recognize $1.2 million in reprogrammed CDBG funding in the Community Development Fund as a contribution to the Water Fund, and to recognize and appropriate the contribution in Project Q74079 and requesting immediate effect.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, the water main replacement and asphalt street resurfacing are annual contracts to replace aged water mains and resurface deteriorating streets. Purchasing on behalf of the Department of Public Works and Engineering Division recommends award of the contract for water main replacement and asphalt street resurfacing to Intimate Excavating LLC, which submitted the lowest responsive and responsible bid in the amount of $2,101,167, with a further contingency in the amount of $200,000 for unforeseen conditions that will be encountered during the excavation process. It's also requested that the finance director be authorized to recognize $1.2 million in reprogram CDBG funding in the Community Development Fund as a contribution to the Water Fund, and recognize and appropriate the contribution in Project Q74079. The CDBG funds will be used for the water main replacements. It is requested the council authorize the award and contingency with immediate effect to facilitate a timely completion of the project. Any questions or comments on this item? Councilman Al Sawafi.
Thank you, Council President. Can we have whoever can speak to this item, please? While you do that, I'll just talk about CDBG funding, community development block grants a little bit. So, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, generally those are dollars that go to a low-income area based off the population, and those are intended to make a difference in that community to uplift these families out of that state of poverty.
Correct.
Correct. Okay. When we were discussing this during the committee of the whole meeting, we talked about this project and funding, the funding sources for this project. Director Hawkins stated that this is a project that they do all over the city, water mains and resurfacing. And when we talked about his example that he gave, I believe, was on Outer Drive, and the funding sources for that, he said it would be Act 51 dollars, which are dollars allocated by the state for roads specifically, correct?
Right.
Okay. For this project, why are we using a different source of funding when for roads and water mains on this side of the city in these low-income families where we always use Act 51 dollars and all over the city to conduct these type of projects, which are water main or resurfacing. But yet, in this area now, instead of, in my opinion, using these dollars to help uplift families out of poverty, we're using them for water main and resurfacing that we do all over the city.
Thank you, Councilmember. Yes, Jordan Twardy, Director of Economic Development.
Thank you.
Council President, thank you. To your question, we're using these primarily driven by timing. So to your point, sir, there are multiple eligible activities within CDBG. We're using these because for the amount that has to be spent in order to meet our timeliness requirements with CDBG, this being a $1.2 million allocation, it allows us to make sure we meet that spending timeline, which is May of 2024. So it's primarily driven by timing, sir.
Okay, got it. Timing. First of all, I just want to thank you for your hard work. You're a great director, just like all the other directors. I know your heart is in the right place. You, the administration, and everybody to my right and left. I know we all care about the people that need this the most. So I just want to say that. But as far as timing, how long have we had these funds?
So we have funding that we get every year. So what happens is we get an allocation every year. We've had these funds in particular about a year and a half ago when the administration started. When I joined the team, there was a backlog of dollars. This funding is part of that backlog. that was not allocated, but it was what I will call stale. So you have generally 5 years to spend the money down, and then you also have, every year you have a timeliness requirement. You have to have, there's a spending ratio you have to meet. So these dollars were among those that were what I would call stale. So and I put together a memo with our team. You have to spend about $1.8 million by May of 2024 in order to meet that ratio. So these are in that group. So.
Well, I'll just tell you, over the weekend, I had a couple of families who reached out that are low-income families that stated they need support. So me hearing that we had money for low-income families for over a year without any movement, it doesn't sound right to me. We have good people within our staffs. We pay a lot of money as a city for good directors. So it doesn't sound fair that these make a difference dollars are just sitting in an account for that long. And then we wait till the last hour and say, well, hey, look, if we don't use it, we lose it. When this whole time we could have allocated it for something where we can make a difference. So in my opinion, I'd like to see that we do the right thing, the fair thing, and just use the same dollars that we use anywhere else in the city to pave the same roads, and then use these dollars, instead of putting them into water mains or putting them into resurfacing a road, to actually making a difference to these families. Our goal should be to have less low-income families every year till we get $0 from the federal government. This is not a trophy that we get this much money from the federal government every year. So when we continue to use these funds in that way, and I know this was a historical, I believe, issue, but I know the direction of this administration and with your leadership as well, and the mayor's leadership, is to go in the right path, right, and to use these funds accurately and correctly. But in this case, I don't agree that we are. And I think we should be using them the same way we use them in any other place in the city, and actually use these dollars, these make a difference dollars, to make a difference. That's all I have for now.
All right, yeah, Director, thank you, Councilman Al-Sawabi. Just to make sure we are on the same page as well, though, thank you, Councilman Al-Sawabi, for your aspect. The CDBG grant dollars, they're allowed to be given to people just as a blank check that are low income?
No, there are requirements that you have to meet. So you have to go through for each different activity under HUD that allow for CDBG. There's a slew of program requirements that you have to meet in order to.
But it's not a funding mechanism.
Correct.
Is that correct? I just want to make sure, because I don't want people to think that we have money that goes to you, we write a check, we give you a check.
No, sir, Council President, it's always either through a program or a nonprofit partner. Sir.
I just want to make that clear.
Yes, sir.
Let me clarify a few things, because we went over this Thursday. I also wanted to make sure it's clear to the residents, and I'm sure the mayor will speak on this, that this was leftover dollars from the previous administration and was set to expire. Is that correct?
Correct, sir.
All right. Also, we asked the Director Hawkins that was here as well regarding the actual, how would we classify a road as uplifting in neighborhoods and so on and so forth. And he indicated that it was to get the road reconstructed. I mean, the purpose of it was to get the road undone in order to do the lead line replacements so they could have purified drinking water.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct, sir.
Is that your understanding?
Yes, sir.
All right, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page for that. Mayor, did you have something you wanted to speak?
I think you have another councilman.
I had a comment.
Councilman, I'm sorry, I didn't see that, Councilman Hammoud.
So I guess we discussed this on Thursday, and I looked a little more into it. And there is just one, I don't know if this is a mistype in here on the lead line replacements. It says 01766 houses. Is that 66 houses, or is it, how many houses are being affected by the lead line replacement aspect of this?
It's nearly 70 houses, so 66.
Okay, so that I didn't understand. Okay, so I think, kind of to the comments that were said before, I think I also expressed some reservation about utilizing CDBG funding for what I feel is standard maintenance of infrastructure. I do appreciate that lead line replacements are a project that's ongoing that we can use CDBG dollars on, and I think clean drinking water is very important and does uplift communities, because we know lead in drinking water leaching in can cause all kinds of deficiencies. But I understand in this specific situation that when we went into the details about the spending ratios, so my point would be, I understand in this specific situation, based on the fact that it was stale money and we don't want to lose future money, that we allocated it quickly this way. I would say, but going forward, the excuse of we don't have programming is not going to be good enough for me. I can say that.
And I know you guys are working on programming, and I'm looking forward to seeing some of the facades and better upkeep in the districts, especially in East Dearborn, because I think one thing for me that I've talked about frequently is I want to make sure we're pumping in millions into the south end, we're pumping in millions into the West Dearborn downtowns. I want to make sure that Warren Avenue and the East districts are not forgotten about. So I think in this specific situation, I can appreciate what we're doing with this, but going forward, it's not going to be as smooth sailing from me, I'll say that. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Before I turn it over, I did speak with the mayor regarding this direct authority, as myself as well as, what I like about the mayor is he indicated, do you have an idea that's different? And I did give him my idea. And I do appreciate, my idea was more aligned on the Councilman Hammoud's on the Warren corridor. But I do understand and I do respect that there's different fundings in the mayor, and we're waiting for grant funding on that. So I totally agree with this project and the way it's being spent because of the times and the situations right now. But I want to make it, clear that I'm in agreement on what these are for, but I also understand that they weren't under your jurisdiction until the short time that you had. And for me, Warren Avenue is a very, very important part. But I respect the fact that we have a grant in the queue that hopefully comes through, and we'll be able to then do what I would like to do down Warren Avenue, because I do believe that it does have to get beautified and get to the next level. But thank you. Mayor?
Yeah, thank you.
I apologize. We had Councilman El Swafi first. No. You had to come. I apologize. Councilman El Swafi.
Thank you, Council President. Council President said, we should not be giving out blank checks, or that's not the intent of the program, and I agree, okay? And we discussed this earlier when we talked, do we want to just give fish to people, or do we want to teach them how to fish so they can uplift themselves? So, and you talked about programming and partnering with nonprofits, and I'm on the CDBG and the HUD website, and it has a list of programs that you can do. And road resurfacing or water main is really not even on there. We might talk about something from gravel road to complete paved road. So there's a whole host of options that we could have, did something with. So we could have did small business grant to minority, for example, businesses or low-income families to help them start a business, mental health. I spoke with nonprofits in the area, and they indicated, those are Dearborn-centered nonprofits, and they indicated that they don't have funding for a lot of their programs. We could have partnered with them. And there's still an opportunity because these funds have to be allocated by May 2024?
Councilmember, they have to be committed and spent.
Okay. So in my opinion, and I work for Wayne County, and I work through grants, and we put out millions of dollars to help small businesses. In my opinion, there's still time, especially if you conduct the right program with the right partners. We can still get a good amount of this funding out to the people that need it most. So that's my opinion, and legal can maybe help with this. I want a motion to change the funding source, so however, Jordan, we can do that. I'm sorry, Jeremy.
So you need to motion to amend?
The funding sources, and here's what I like to do. Use the same funding sources, which is Act 51, as the director said last time, for this project.
So we don't have the access to fund from Act 51 to fund this project.
Okay, great. So how do we fund other road projects throughout the city?
So we have an annual allocation that's been allocated for existing road projects. This Access CDBG helped us fund an additional road project. We don't have $51 just sitting on the side that are not being activated.
Well, here's what I think, right? Whatever.
Can I just clarify one point, please?
Yes, please.
Michael Kennedy, Finance Director. The CDBG dollars that are being reprogrammed here are not funding the road. They're funding the water main replacement only,
That's what I said.
not the road.
Which is the
But
same
we're
thing.
talking about Act 51, and that's strictly for roads.
Well, the director said we use those funds for roads, and water main, same thing. We do water main projects all
So
over
the
the city.
theory there is why we changed the road, we replaced the lead line, so we're not being inefficient and coming back through there and tearing it up twice.
And that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the funding source using CDBG dollars, which are intended to uplift families for regular maintenance. And replacing lead lines, we do that all over the city with different funding sources. But I don't believe it's fair to use CDBG dollars that are intended to uplift people for water main and regular maintenance that we do all over the city. So whatever funds we use for other parts of the city, we should do the same thing for this project and use the CDBG dollars, in my opinion, for the way that they should be used to help uplift these families.
All right, so Mr. Romer, Mr. Kennedy, we're good. We're good for you from that. Mr. Romer, Councilman El Sawafi made the offer, so I'm assuming he's asking to, are you asking to amend your offer?
He can either amend or withdraw his offer, and then you would need.
Another offer?
Yes.
All right, so how would you like to
However he
proceed,
wants to
Councilman El
proceed.
Sawafi?
Am I able to speak to the motion?
Yeah, absolutely, Mayor, but I just want to make sure we're getting the procedural aspect correct, but go ahead, Mayor.
Yeah, so here's what I'll say. You know, when we came in, we actually scrubbed the CDBG dollars, if you recall, for those who have been here more than 2 years. And we kind of stripped out all these projects plus, you know, the funding of employees, and we now have that funded through either GF or other revenue streams more appropriate.
There was employees.
Correct, and we've now been
The water-
programming CDBG to the tunes of what Councilman El Sawafi is speaking to.
Yeah, Mayor,
This is the exception and not the rule of what we're doing with these CDBG dollars. Now, as it pertains to, you know, things like I heard, small business grants. We have open door programs in the DDA West and East that had lapsed funding where businesses didn't submit. We're actually launching that program similarly in the Warren Business Corridor. When you talk about facade improvement on Warren Avenue, we've hired a firm and we're actually designing the facade plan right now, but that facade plan won't be done before these dollars actually expire. We actually clawed back some dollars that we thought were being wastefully spent to get that facade program going, and we're in the queue for some larger grants. And so for us, I think we've been doing very strong work with the CDBG dollars that we have been programming as a council. You've obviously been awarding those dollars, especially a lot to nonprofits. We actually give nonprofit allocations each year, and the council actually approved another $200,000 allocation to a local nonprofit for a community kitchen. That's also in the East End. Let's not forget that project that's actually underway. And so we've been doing phenomenal work. I just don't want to get lost in the fact that, you know, one-time dollars that are lapsing, it's use it before you lose it, and this has to be expended and done by May of '24, not just awarded by '24. And if you even talk to many nonprofits, when they had excess dollars that the city had awarded them previously, especially when it came down to during the times of COVID, a lot of them had lapsed funding that they didn't use 100% either. And so I think the team came up with a project that's meaningful. 70 lead lines is actually meaningful replacement for a portion of the community that we have over 11,000 lead lines across the city. We're talking about a $90 million project over its lifetime. And so every bit we can chipping at it actually helps in the long run.
Thank you, Mayor.
I just wanted to add that as well.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, and I appreciate that. And as well, I did bring this up because we were at, I think the last council, I was shocked at the first time that we did use these for salary of the director of the DPW. And I voiced it plainly on the record. So I am in full support of where we're going forward. Right, and the way we're doing it going forward. But at this time, I want to make sure we clarify, since Councilman El Sawafi has made the offer, but before we go any further, Councilman Herrick, you have a question?
Yes, excuse me, thank you, Council President. I appreciate the backup information we received at 4:30 this afternoon in preparation for the meeting tonight. So I had an opportunity to quickly go through it. Since the mayor, and I do appreciate the efforts that were made over the past year to clean up how the CDBG dollars have been allocated here in Dearborn, because the mayor has spoken on that, and I agree that they've done a good job with that. But in the backup that we received today, I just wanted clarification on the unexpended project balances. It lists several projects: Lapeer Park basketball and tennis courts, code enforcement, home rehab, and the last line there says administration. Is that salaries? What does administration mean in that document?
Council member, so administration refers to administrative expense related to projects. So as the mayor mentioned, we've shifted away from staff, but that could be if you have a contractor putting a plan together, any sort of administrative expense. And what I will say on some of those, particularly code enforcement administration, you'll notice that we didn't expend what was fully budgeted. We are already stacking up additional projects, kind of in the spirit of what's been talked about, to put these dollars toward actual projects and programs, to make sure that the priority with this was to make sure we obviously meet our spending timelines and fund it on meaningful eligible projects. But just to clarify, those types of activities are not just salaries. They're anything related to the delivery of a project. So HUD has a larger definition of what administrative is.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Now, do
Point of
you have
order.
anything else? Because
No,
you have a
it's not
point of order.
because are we debating the primary motion or the subsidiary motion that Councilman Swafford made? If there's no second, you can't debate the motion.
Well, we haven't gotten to his first. He hasn't,
Well,
No, he did.
Councilman Swafford made a motion.
He made, okay, Councilman Hamud,
Okay.
his motion was unclear. Did you state where the funding source was? You said Act 51 and the mayor said there was no funding. So do you want to make a motion where no funding is going to come from? Do you like to do that? Then that means it's not a clear motion. So let me handle the meeting and let me
I
go.
don't understand what's going on.
Well, that's why. He wants, there's $1.2 million. So now, Councilman, let us know where you'd like the $1.2 million to come from.
Absolutely. So we look at other projects that we've completed, similar projects, different parts of the city, and we use the same funding sources that we use for those projects. And I just want to say something, okay? So Mayor, you and your administration have been doing great work. Have been doing great work, and it's been a total change. And I don't want to take that away from you, from your directors and your staff and chief of staff, but we're not there yet. And doing the right thing most of the time is also not the best thing to do. We need to do it all the time. So you said it's an exception. But in my opinion, there's still room to do the right thing all the time. So, and that's why I'm motioning to use the same funding sources.
Okay, you have to, I think that, Mr. Romer, I would consider that illusory. We need a funding source.
Sure.
You can't just say, use
No,
the same
that's fine.
$1.2 million.
Well, hold on, we have the finance director here, so he can speak to that.
So, to Councilman Al-Sawafi's point, given that this is water replacement, lead line replacement that comes out of our water and sewer rates, so you can motion to increase the water rates to account for the 1.2 million difference. Because you guys actually approved the projects.
But Mayor, we already, I know, but Mayor, let's make
That's
sure,
what I'm saying,
Mr.
I
Kennedy,
know.
Director
That-
Kennedy,
that's
since you
the
wanted,
alternative.
let's bring him up here. Because now we already sent out the water bills, and we
Correct.
already established the rates, is that correct?
Correct, but
All right.
the water infrastructure comes from water and sewer rates.
Mayor,
The road
I'm fully
infrastructure
aware
comes
where it
from
comes
Act
from.
51.
My point is, I want to have an opportunity to find out. We're not going to say, we don't want to spend 1.2 million and not have an answer for it. When you're going to come up with a problem, you better have a solution.
No,
So
absolutely.
I understand, so let's make sure. I don't want to give fake promises. The water rates have already been set by this council, is that correct?
Correct, and the
And had the
budget
bills
that was
went out?
adopted did not include funding for this project. Therefore, if you use water money to do this project, you would need to increase your rates.
Okay, which means we would have to send out new billing as well. So let the councilman tell us where you'd like the 1.2 million to come from.
No, I'll just make this clear and simple, okay? If we're gonna use these fundings, this funding, CDBG's funding, misuse in my opinion, then I would vote against this program and this project, so I can withdraw.
So you withdraw your offer. Is that where we're at? So that's why when you tell me you want a point of order, we haven't gotten there yet. So we have a withdrawal by Councilman Al-Swafi. And Councilman Abraham, I apologize, has been waiting patiently. Councilman, before we take up this, since now we have only a support by Councilman Enos, I apologize, would like you had something you'd like to add, Councilman Abraham?
Yeah, and with all the respect of Councilman Al-Sawafi,
Can't discuss either.
I agree on the prioritization of block grant dollars and making an impact on the community. My perspective on this is a little bit different. My perspective is we are changing the health and safety conditions of 70 households in this community. And we're doing that by prioritizing those 70 homes because of this funding. And I look at it and say, if not for this $1.2 million in block grant funding, this project would be deferred. And it would get in line with every other lead line replacement project. And as it was stated earlier, the city tries to be efficient and effective and do road surfaces complementary to water main and lead line replacements. So there's layers of complexity when it comes to engineering and infrastructure. In my view, using the block grant dollars to prioritize the health and welfare of 70 families in this community is well spent.
Thank you. Councilman Abraham, is that an offer for this item?
Yes, I'll offer.
So offer, Madam Clerk, the offer will be Councilman Abraham. Councilman Enos, do you continue to support this item?
Yes, I do.
And the support is maintained by Councilman Enos. Any other questions or comments on this? Councilman Hammoud?
I guess just to kind of wrap it up in terms of, again, why I think these dollars are helpfully spent. I think Councilman Abraham touched on it. The lead, and just to remind everyone at home, the lead line replacement is the right thing to do, if you ask me, but so that's an opinion. B, is a state requirement anyway. There's a legislative mandate.
Unfunded.
And then I was gonna get to
Unfunded
that.
mandate.
And the best part about it, just like a lot of the things the state of Michigan does, is they give us an unfunded mandate. So we don't have actual money to go fix the problems that we know exist, thanks to the federal government not putting in lead line replacement in their CARES Act, thanks guys. And then the state government also not giving us any money for lead line replacement. So it comes down to us to get really creative with the ways that we decide to fund the health and safety and welfare of our underprivileged communities who have outdated and toxic infrastructure. So, I do agree with Councilman El-Sawafi in terms of, not the best use of CDBG dollars, but still a very admirable and good use, in my opinion, to at least get something done that we know we can meet the project deadlines, because we do have some backup here that articulates exactly when this money expires. Spending the money is important because, if we don't spend the money, we lose actually how much funding the state gives us for these types of things every year. So it's advantageous to us to spend the money, and I think this is actually, again, just pretty reasonable considering the situation after we went through this in detail on Thursday on what we're going to do. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Paris.
Thank you, Council President. What I'd like to say about this matter is I fully understand what our council members have stated here so far. Councilman El-Sawafi in particular bringing this issue to light. I totally agree the point that he is trying to make. However, a couple things I want to point out, and we've talked about this water main replacement also. It's not just a lead line replacement. Go back, I remember being at a meeting probably 4 and 5 years ago where we talked about the age infrastructure of this city. And in particular, the northeast part of Dearborn has an explosive situation going on over time because we have infrastructure that's nearly 100 years old. Now, if that isn't a public health and safety and a privilege for people to have water, it's a privilege, yeah, but I mean, we have an underserved community that is taking place on along Reuter, and that's aged infrastructure. That's a water main. We're not just talking about surface streets, but of course you got to rip up the streets too and repair that. I totally get it that we have some thoughts about why we are getting to this point right now, where those funds are coming from. I think right now, and I don't want to speak for any of my council members, I know that a number of us have made enough of a point, and I think it's probably clearly understood by the administration, that this point forward with this type of funding, CDBG, it's even my understanding that we've used a few $100,000 for fire department equipment from CDBG funds. And most likely because of stations 1, 3, 4, and even 5 in Melvindale that serves a portion of our city, those fire station 2 is in the West End. All the other fire stations are technically on the other side of Southfield. So even putting fire equipment out there and so on, it's most likely, although I don't know the planning, but it's most likely that that fire equipment will be in one of the fire stations on the other end of town, in the East End. So therefore, the point that I wanted to make, I will be in favor of going forward with this, but only with words of caution that I think everybody hears what is being said, that we'd like more accountability where those funds are coming from. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Paris. Any other questions or comments on this item? Okay, Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call vote?
Councilman Enos.
Yes.
Councilman Hamud.
Yes.
Councilman Abraham.
Yes.
Councilman Paris.
Yes.
Councilman Al-Sawafi.
No.
Councilwoman Herrick.
Yes.
Council President Sereni.
Yes.
Council President, the motion passes 6 yeas, 1 no.
All right, thank you. Next item, please. Thank you, Director.
Number 22, resolution by council members Herrick and Enos approving the minutes of the previous special closed meeting of October 24th, 2023.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there any additions, deletions, or modifications to these minutes? All right, hearing and seeing none, unanimous roll will be attached. Next item.
Number 23, resolution by council members Enos and Hamud approving the minutes of the previous regular meeting of October 24th, 2023.
Any additions, deletions, or modifications to these minutes? Hearing and seeing none, unanimous roll will be attached. Next item, please.
24, resolution by council members Paris and Al-Sawafi awarding a 1-year contract to Orkin for citywide sewer vector services in the amount of $186,420, which includes a $40,500 one-time program startup cost and the $12,160 monthly cost, and requesting immediate effect.
Okay, thank you. Economic Development, in conjunction with purchasing, recommends the award of a contract as citywide sewer vector services to Orkin. A pilot program consisting of 165 manholes was shown to be successful results, and the city has chosen to expand the program to 460 locations. The expansion of this program will allow further measures to control the rat population in the sewer system. This program includes quarterly heat mapping, data analysis, city-owned parcels inspections, access to our anthropology department, and multi-layered support regarding resident rodent complaints, on-site inspections and treatment. Orkin's data shows that the subterranean rodent control is most effective during the fall and early winter. The cost of the 1-year program is $186,420, which includes a $40,500 one-time program startup cost and at the rate of $12,160 monthly, which shall be charged to the general fund, neighborhood service, contractual service, vector control. Immediate effect is being requested. Any questions or comments on this item? Councilman Al-Sawafi?
Go ahead.
I have to recognize him. Councilman Al-Sawafi.
Thank you, Council President. Now, this is a project I can get behind. No, this is a great project. I know it's been a priority for me, and me and the mayor talked about this, and it's a priority for him as well, working through so many different solutions. And these rats, I'll just say they're not easy. I fought Al-Qaeda, but I feel like these rats are a little bit tougher.
I guess.
Yeah, no, so I appreciate the mayor working on this, and I know especially after our last our budget sessions, we put a priority to this by allocating additional funding, and now we're seeing this play out. So I'm looking forward to seeing the results from this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Abraham.
Yeah, I just wanted to say again, echo that. Very important that we get the rat and rodent under control in the city. It's been a long time problem. I think this is a different approach. I also want to thank the mayor. I think we're going to have a little visual indication because all this rat control is going to happen underground in the basins, in the sewer system. Mayor, you can correct me, but I believe what we're going to do is mark the sewer caps or the catch basins with a painted rat.
Or right next to it.
Right next to it. That will indicate in your neighborhood that your area has been treated against rats. So thank you.
If you guys would like to name the rats, let me know. 460 of them.
Thank you, Councilman Abraham. That is a good point to bring up in case you do see that on your street. For the administration, I'm very pleased that we are taking a proactive and a different measure. We have to find a way to get it under control, and I hope it does work. But who's in charge of the anthropology department? I didn't know we had one of those. Director Hawkins?
Entomology. So actually, vector control is now in economic development with our
Vector.
neighborhood services department.
Okay.
What I would tell you is, we did a pilot project of 160 manholes, and we actually saw a decrease in the number of complaints that were reported in those neighborhoods that saw that treatment. But most effective treatment actually happens in the fall and winter when rats all go underground.
Absolutely.
And so we thought, rather than just expanding the pilot to another neighborhood, let's do it across the whole city, and then measure the number of rat complaints that come in the springtime, especially when roads begin to get broken open, to see what the feedback is. And so we think it's going to be a very strong result of the program.
Well, thank you, Mayor. We appreciate it. Any other questions or comments on this item? Hearing and seeing none, unanimous roll will be attached. Next item.
Item number 25 was withdrawn by Finance.
Okay, 25 is withdrawn, thank you.
26.
Next item? Yes.
Resolution by council members Hamud and Paris, awarding a contract to Airport Lighting in the amount of $1,110,615 for ball field lighting at Levagood and Crowley Parks. Also authorizing the finance director to transfer the same amount from the 634 fund in Project ARPA 25 and to recognize and appropriate the transfer in the 401 fund project I-51223 and requesting immediate effect.
Thank you very much. The Parks and Recreation Department has identified the need for additional ball fielding lighting at Levelgood Diamonds 1 and 4, and upgrading diamonds at 2 and 3 at Levelgood, as well as updating lighting at the diamond at Crowley Park. The current lighting system has been installed 4 decades ago and has long since exceeded its life expectancy and service time as well. A new modern energy-saving system with a 25-year warranty will provide safer playing conditions while upgrading these facilities to not only better serve our residents, but will also allow us to host local, regional, and even national tournaments, generating revenue and economic spikes to surrounding Dearborn businesses. The Parks and Recreation Department, in conjunction with purchasing, recommends the award of the contract to Airport Lighting. The requested amount is $1,110,615. In addition, is also respectfully requested that the finance director be authorized to transfer $1,110,615 from the Fund 634 Fund and Project to ARPA 25, and to recognize and appropriate the transfer into 401 Fund Project I-51223 with immediate effect being requested. Any questions or comments on this item? Yes, Councilman Hamud, but can we have the director up here? Yeah. Councilman Hamud, when you're ready.
Oh, do you want him?
He's coming, I wanted to ask him, but you go ahead. You
Oh,
can ask a question,
okay.
and then I'll go ahead.
No, I mean, I was just going to speak on the item a little bit based on some of the background on this. I want to say, I often toss stones at use of ARPA dollars for all kinds of things. So this is another one of those that I really appreciate, actually, because I know the mayor and some of the other council members have engaged with our local baseball clubs and our own I forgot your title now, but our own Jonathan, Assistant Director Golich. I know he was very much spearheading this, and as I joked, his wife's going to be responsible for the maintenance, so I know that he's on top of it, right? So I think when it comes to projects like these, it's modern. It's what people have been actively asking for. I think they're going to be very excited to play under the lights at night. Some of the kids, and I think this is just a very good project all around that I very much support because it seems responsible. There's a 25-year warranty on the lights, which are new technology, but we've already seen them demonstrated effectively. So more projects like this, I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilman Hamud. Director, thank you for coming up. I just had a couple of questions. As the Councilman indicated, we had Assistant Director Golich here. The 25-year warranty, I'm really pleased with that, but just trying to find out, are these LED lights? Are these fixtures that the lights are replaceable? What's the standard, and what is the warranty covering?
Good evening. Sean Fletcher, Director of Parks and Recreation. Yes, they are LED, and I think there were some images shared.
Yes.
And probably some of the lights that we have currently aren't directed as well as the new lighting technology directs them away from houses, and it's very precise where the light goes, so you don't have the ambient light pouring out into neighborhoods, which is a good thing. But yeah, LED replaceable, but they're going to last longer being LED.
I'm sure we're going to have an energy efficient, energy savings, but the warranty itself, are they responsible for maintaining the lights as well? Would they be changing them and maintaining them?
Replacing the bulbs when they wear out?
I mean, I don't know if the fixture is inclusive. Some of these new LEDs, the fixture is inclusive of the unit, so that you would have to replace the whole unit. Some are bulbs that are replaced, so I'm just trying to find out what are we getting with the warranty?
In the images, you can see that the individual lights on the inside are replaceable, and then they service everything for 25 years. So if any problem that arises, they'll come out and address the issue.
Council President.
Okay, yeah, one second.
The last page.
Yeah.
The last page, okay.
Oh, it's not the same.
Okay, yeah, because just for me, Mayor, I think it's a tremendous program, especially 25 years. I just wanted to make sure that the warranty because a lot of these lights are encompassed inside the unit itself, so they have to replace the whole unit at the head. And you're saying that is what the warranty is gonna cover, everything will be working as it is at day one and day 25 years? That yes?
Yes.
That's the goal.
I think he's missing a page.
Did you have a question, Councilman Hamud?
No, I think you're missing a page.
No, I'm good. I asked the question, I got my answer. Did you have a question?
No, some of the backup is a little different.
Okay, yeah. All right, thank you very much. I think this is great. Like I said, 4 decades of lights. It's gonna be a huge difference. And we do appreciate it, Mayor. Hopefully this will bring some events into the city, which we could definitely use.
I just want to add, this is part of the Peace Project's appropriation that was given. I think I keep emphasizing that because everybody thinks Peace Project is just the new parks. It's the whole city.
It's the whole branding.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Peace was just like the name of the grant application. Double down on this.
Thank you very much. Councilman Paris.
Thank you, Council President. If anybody's just coming into the meeting now and watching and so on, you may hear the words airport lighting coming to Crowley Park and Leatherwood, thinking that our incoming planes that we complain about in the West End, on both sides of Michigan Avenue, it has nothing to do with that. It's baseball diamond lighting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. All right, any other questions or comments? Thank you, Director. Take a roll call vote. It's a Peace Parks.
New Delta terminal.
I'm serious.
Keep going.
No?
Keep going.
All right, any objection to unanimous roll? Hearing and seeing none, so is attached. Next item.
27, resolution by council members Alsawafi and Herrick, awarding a cooperative contract to We Build Fun through the Sourcewell Cooperative Contract in the amount of $251,544 for Wyoming Gould Playground renovation and requesting immediate effect.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The playground equipment on Wyoming Gould Park was installed in 1992, and the replacement parts are no longer available. The Parks and Recreation Department has had many conversations with the residents in the Wyoming, Indiana, and Kentucky neighborhood regarding playground design and preferred amenities. The project will include installation of a new playground as voted by the youth. Yep, there we got some pictures on the screen. As well as installation of approximately 3,588 square feet of playground grass academy, which is a grass-like turf with a 3-inch safety foam. The new surface will require less maintenance than traditional resurfacing surface around the city and allow the residents to utilize the equipment year-round, pending weather conditions, of course. The Parks and Recreation Department, in conjunction with purchasing, recommends the award of the contract to We Build Fund for the renovation of the Wyoming Gould Playground. The requested amount is $251,544. The project is expected to take 16 to 20 weeks and will start in the spring of 2024. Immediate effect is being requested. I just wanted to thank the mayor and the administration on this project. And I know originally, I think we were going to put the standard wood chips. Is that correct, Mayor?
Yeah,
Or
I
the
think,
rubber?
yeah, we made a determination that moving forward, all playscapes would eliminate the wood chips and the rubber and whatever else, gravel that's typically used also.
Right. You did bring that forward in the mayor's briefing, indicate it was a higher cost, but over breaking it down, it's going to be more cost effective
And
for
more
us in the long run.
accessible. And so,
I'm
and more
sorry?
accessible, which is great.
Correct. And also the safety aspect of it as well.
Correct.
3-inch safety foam for falls and slips and hurts. So I think this is great, and I'm glad that we're finding innovative ways to just do parks. These do matter to people, and they do use them. I think it's going to be beautiful. Any questions or comments on this item? Okay. Any objection? Hearing and seeing none, then unanimous roll shall be attached. Next item.
28, resolution by council members Abraham and Enos, awarding a sole source contract to Flock Safety LLC in the amount of $75,000 for the purchase of 40 Flock cameras or license plate readers with a 2-year service agreement and requesting immediate effect.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Purchasing on behalf of the Dearborn Police Department recommends a sole source purchase of 40 Flock cameras from Flock Safety LLC with a 2-year service agreement. These new cameras will be added to the existing network of Flock cameras already in use in the city at multiple street intersections. The Flock cameras which function as license plate readers will be installed at intersections throughout the city, adding to 30 cameras already in operation. These cameras are used to identify suspect vehicles that are traveling within the city. The requested amount is $75,000 and immediate effect is being requested. I know we have somebody here from the police department who'd like to come forward. I know there was a lot of questions and Mr. Romer, your department and under your assistant answered all of them very, very detailed regarding data collection and so on and so forth. But Mr. Commander Zelansky, for me, I would just want to reiterate to the citizens, these cameras have caught people that have committed serious felony crimes in the city. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely.
And my question to you too is because this came up a few years back where I made statements fully supporting these cameras then as I do now. And I just wanted to make sure for the residents to understand. And I asked all my council members, which everyone did, take a ride along in the cars to see how these work when we took over. You do not get a response on these unless unless the car is reported stolen. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. So if somebody's out there and didn't pay a parking ticket, you're not getting a hit on that aspect from the flock. It's not
Correct.
telling. Okay.
Can I add one more feature of it, though?
Yeah, absolutely, Mayor. But just to clarify, because we had a recent event.
Of course.
You know, and I know, Mayor, you might want to speak on it, but for me, I made it abundantly clear, you know, and you know with the chief how I feel about chasing criminals that steal cars. Because they do use those cars to commit crimes. They're not using their own car to commit crimes. So for me, this is very important, and it was a reason why we had closure very, very fast in an incident where someone's life was taken going out to eat dinner. So I am in all support of these flock cameras. But Mayor, I would like to get your feedback on other uses for them.
One other really strategic use for it is, let's say there is a car that is used in a crime that does not have a stolen license plate. Let's say it's a black Tahoe. You can actually search black Tahoe. Anywhere a black Tahoe has come across all of these cameras, we'd be able to pull up and try to identify that black Tahoe and then try to trace it across the city. So there's just one other advantageous feature to have in these cameras.
Absolutely. And then just for the residents.
Several times.
Thank you. Absolutely, Mayor. And then just for some of the residents, when I first took over as the council president and asked everybody to do ride-alongs, when I did a ride-along, I asked the officer, how were you finding these plates when you had a plate that you knew was stolen and you were trying to get it run? And his answer was, we had to call another city to tell us it. So for me, I don't want to have to call another city. I think that our police department is well-funded and well-staffed, so I am looking forward to these to help reduce crime even more. So thank you. Commander, you have something to add?
If I could add
Yes,
one thing.
absolutely.
Briefly, I do have a reputation in our department of being the person that says no to a lot because I'm responsible for the budget. And I will say in my 24 years of law enforcement, this is probably the best investigatory and intelligence tool I've ever seen before.
I thank you for that part. I didn't know how to put it better, but I'll tell you, when I was in the car and I'm saying, well, how are they going to read? As we're going 40 miles or 35 miles an hour, it's reading plates all around it. It's incredible technology, incredible technology. So I hope that will continue to help us reduce crime. Thank you so much, Commander.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, Councilman Paris?
Sure, thank you. Thank you, Council President. The only thing that I wanted to say is, you know, I had a long law enforcement career, and I am the one that brought up during the Committee of the Whole some additional information that I was requesting about privacy issues, about data, and whether data is sold. I am thoroughly appreciative of the response from the administration about the backup material that we received as a result of that. But I will say, with technology and an increase in technology as we go forward, it also comes with an awesome responsibility to use that technology and other people not using that technology to sell data, to look at data or have it compromised in some way or another. I totally get it. You know, I was a cop for a long time. I've done ride-alongs. My kids are police officers. I totally get that, but it's an awesome responsibility, and we owe that to our citizens. And I got the sufficient information that I wanted. And I thank you for that too, and I'm more than willing to go along with this. As a matter of fact, I did support it initially anyways.
Thank you, Councilman Paris. Absolutely. Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Commander Zelansky. Hearing and seeing none, unanimous roll shall be attached. Next item.
29, resolution by council members Herrick and Abraham approving the application of Zambelli Fireworks to obtain a special events license in order to conduct fireworks displays at Greenfield Village 2023 Holiday Nights fireworks shows on certain nights in December. Also authorizing the fire chief to set rain dates as required and requesting immediate effect.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This request is for Greenfield Village to host their annual Holiday Nights Fireworks Show in the month of December. The application has been reviewed and approved by our fire marshal. The Dearborn Fire Department Fire Watch will be assigned to the event, which with the cost reimbursed by Greenfield Village. The requested dates for the fireworks show are December 1st and 3rd, 8th and 10th, 14th through the 17th. I'm sorry, 14th through the 17th, 19th through 23rd, 26th and through the 28th. The fire department is requesting the council approve these dates listed and approve to grant the fire chief authority to set rain dates as required with immediate effect is also being requested. Any questions or comments on this? Okay, hearing and seeing none, unanimous roll shall be attached. Next item.
Item 30 was moved to the consent agenda, so we're on 31.
Thank you.
Resolution by Council Members Herrick and Al-Sawafi, authorizing the Finance Director to recognize the 2023 Michigan Veterans Treatment Court Grant Program funds in the amount of $16,000 in the General Fund, 19th District Court Intergovernmental Revenue, and appropriate the same in the General Fund, 19th District Court Veterans Treatment Court Expenditure Division, and requesting immediate effect.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The 19th District Court applied for a grant through 2023 Michigan Veterans Treatment Court Grant Program, administered through the State Court Administration Office of the Michigan Supreme Court. The court was awarded $16,000 grant. The grant period award was from October 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2024. These grants will be used to support the 19th District Court Veterans Treatment Court. The purpose of this is to reduce the substance abuse and promote public safety by promoting treatment-based sentencing alternatives for non-violent veteran offenders charged with offenses related to abuse of or addiction to alcohol and drugs. There is no match required by the city. Any questions or comments on this item? I know that we have Mr. Ruby here from the court administrator, and I know there was several questions that was asked, and I do appreciate the information was provided, as we know that it's been challenging for the court. I know our previous chief judge and veteran, Judge Hunt, had instituted this program, and I did a show on it, highlighting it. I know that their numbers have decreased, but I am pleased that they haven't decreased as much as I thought. So I really do thank you for that information, because I know it is challenging to get people into this program. I would like to have any questions from my colleagues.
Council President.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Councilman Herrick.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank our court administrator for the additional information he provided in the graphs and the excellent job that our court is doing with the program. We saw that in the information you provided compared to the other 28 courts across the state, that we are doing better, the best. Yep. So thank you.
Yeah, it's very helpful, and I do appreciate the thoroughness of the graph. It was exactly what we were looking for. Councilman Al-Sawafi.
Thank you, Council President. No, I want to echo the sentiment of my colleagues. I really appreciate all the work you guys do with the Veterans Treatment Court. It's a great program. It's a lot of work, a lot of dedication. But you guys put that time day in and day out, so I really appreciate you for that, and I just want to thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Paris.
Thank you. We talked before the meeting a little bit, and I just expressed my thanks then. So not going to go forward and saying that again, other than thank you. But that additional information that you supplied, it was kind of an eye-opener for me, because I'll tell you, with the numbers going through the Veterans Treatment Court, it made me think over the last 5 years that, boy, that's not a lot of participation. However, the success rate is phenomenal, and it's much higher than elsewhere in the state that has already been said here. But, there's some other things that I really was not aware of, that the average 394 days of a veteran placed under that responsibility going through the treatment court stays in that assigned treatment for 394 days. And you have some that are over 500. Yep. So that kind of accounts for some of the time lag, as time goes on, that there may be few. And I was also pleased too that have revealed that women may be underrepresented in this too. My question to you, though, that I don't think has been asked, is there any other outreach programs that we're doing to be able to make people understand that we do have this available. I know they have to come through the court system, be charged with the crime, the misdemeanor, whatever, to come forward and immediately identify it early, to be able to go into the treatment court. But is there anything else to increase those numbers, or are we just simply doing a good job when we don't have more than the ones that have been reported?
Right. Ben Ruby, Court Administrator, 19th District Court. The efforts in terms of outreach have been prolific. And despite that, it's not easy to find participants right now. And some of it has to do with what you highlighted, which is that this is not an easy thing for the participants to do. You're talking about a year plus in a lot of circumstances where they're in a pretty intensive program. And so it's, identifying the population and then also selling an individual that this is something that is going to benefit them when they know that it may not initially be the easiest route in terms of dealing with the court. If they take a straight sentence, there's a high likelihood that they're going to be done with whatever it is, legal matters that they're having to deal with, sooner than if they had gone through the Veterans Treatment Court program. But what we try to do is impress upon them, look, that might be the easier route, but this is the route that's going to get you the help that you ultimately need. Our program coordinator, Murray Davis, has been, I know, in contact with the police department here, as well as, I believe, Mr. Romer's office, in terms of trying to figure out strategies in order to identify people early in the process and make sure that they're aware of the services and what the program has to offer. Beyond that, I know that both he and Judge Hunt are regularly active in local veterans groups, not just in Dearborn, but in Wayne County at large, in order to make sure that the word is out there that this program exists, that we've got capacity to take additional participants, and also to spread the gospel in terms of what the outcomes are for most of the people who are entering the program.
And I appreciate your efforts, because vets have some mental and physical health problems. PTSD, traumatic brain injuries, drug and alcohol problems, domestic violence, some other aspects that they go through because of their service.
Right.
And coming back from war zones, and which we have a council member that's fully aware of that. So I just wanted to, again, say thank you. I appreciate the material that you sent to us.
Happy to do it, and I appreciate the support every time I come here with one of these items, so thank you all as well.
We appreciate your attendance. Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments on this item? Okay, and unanimous roll shall be attached. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item.
32, resolution by council members Enos and Hamud, granting permission for Goodfellows volunteers to sell newspapers at intersections in the streets throughout Dearborn, December 1st through December 3rd, for the annual No Child Without a Christmas collection, and requesting immediate effect.
Okay, this is a timely request by the Dearborn Goodfellow Volunteers Department, permission to work in intersections in the streets at various locations throughout Dearborn to sell the Goodfellow newspapers. Money raised from this event will be used to buy presents and basic essentials for underprivileged individuals for Christmas. This year's event will be held on December 1st through Sunday, December 3rd, 2023. Of course, with immediate effect is being requested. I know we have someone here from the Goodfellows to speak on it.
Get a cheer from all. Silvio Davis, President of the Dearborn Goodfellows. I want to sit up here and thank everyone, council president, clerk's office, the mayor's office, the mayor, and all of our city employees that volunteer their time and make the Goodfellows mission a success. We say that it takes a village, but I always tell people that it takes a city of Dearborn to make our organization succeed. So, again, just want to thank you all for the support over the years, the continued support. I also have an announcement that I was just told. Our chief of staff and our mayor will be on Cherry Hill and Telegraph. So if you want to come out and give us their money, that's where you'll find us collecting money at. So
just found out. Thank
come
you so
on
much.
out. It's on your calendar now.
Okay.
Well, thank you. We do appreciate the work the Goodfellows do. I know my councilman has a few things, but it's it really makes, like I said, what Dearborn is all about, and it's a very strong program, and we wish that it continues to be that. And of course, you have the full support of the
Through the
city, and I
generosity of
appreciate
Council
you.
President.
Yes.
I think all of council has agreed to match everything the Goodfellas.
Oh, no, you did that. You already got me. You got me once before. But I appreciate the timely application, so we didn't have to have a special meeting. Councilman Enos.
When's the picture date this year?
Yep, November 20th, 11:30 at Park Place will be the photo.
Calendar.
Thank God Nicole keeps everyone organized.
Nicole keeps us on a tight ship.
They do run a tight ship.
Yes.
And when we pass out presents, am I riding shotgun with you again?
Oh, yeah, you're on shotgun with me for sure. So presents, we load the trucks and wrap them up on December 15th. It's at 6 p.m. I don't know the exact address, but it's a Village Ford at the Body Shop on Keene Street. And same time, or I'm sorry, the next day at 8 o'clock in the morning is when we go out and deliver the packages, so December 16th.
Excellent. Anything else?
I do have one comment.
Yes.
So on the resolution, it says Goodfellows. Does it need to say Dearborn Goodfellows?
Mine
For
says
any-
Dearborn Goodfellows, so I will make sure that the actual
Oh, okay.
resolution that I have to sign.
I was looking
into-
online, it said Goodfellows, so.
No, that's
I
fine, but
apologize.
we will make sure, Jackie, that it does say, because we do sign the official resolution when it comes through. And Madam Clerk will make a note. Councilman Hamud?
So last year was the first time I had the opportunity to participate in the wrapping and the distribution, and it was actually it was a blast, actually. It was a lot of fun, and I think getting to see people at their doors, you know, when you're an elected official, most of us have done door knocking, and then usually you get the door slammed in your face. So this was like a really welcome change to that. You know, people were happy to see you with the presents. So that was, the doors open much easier.
Yes, they do.
On Christmas.
I always tell people, if you really want the experience, you come to delivery day or you come to packaging. You
Packaging
see
day, I did the
every
packaging.
box as a kid. When you deliver it, you see a smile on their face. That's something that will bring you back for sure. You'll be hooked for
Yeah, it was a
life.
good time.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
All right, thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? Okay, unanimous roll be attached. Next item.
Thank you, Silvio.
Thank you.
There are no further items.
Okay, before we get to the council, we have some questions from the council participation. I'd just like to thank my colleagues and highlight our council, there you go, first of its kind, Council Connection. Folks, nothing can pass through the council by yourself. It takes, and I'm very proud of our council unanimously funding our twice a year, biannually newsletter that has a tremendous amount of information. This cannot be done without support of the administration and QR codes by our IT department. So look for this in your mail. If you did not get it, call our council office because it was sent to all of our Dearborn residents, highlighting the things that are happening in Dearborn and what our council is doing to help support the initiatives that are happening here in Dearborn. So I want to make sure that we do, yeah, of course, our council office did work tremendously hard to get this first one out. It's really hard to take a blank piece of paper and come up with something that is going to be going on for hopefully years to come. So we do appreciate it and look out for it. As well, it is available, if you did not get it, extra copies are at our council office in the lobby of the DAC, as well as other city buildings our staff put in, the libraries, historical museum, the senior services area in the DAC, I'm sorry, in the Civic Center, and the senior housing buildings. Lastly, before I open it to my other colleagues, I just want to take an opportunity to wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving coming forward. We have a lot to celebrate besides the Lions, which is going to be a tremendous game. For me, grandfather now of two little girls and my 5 children, getting them all to one time together and to put the phones, I have a rule, the phones stay on the side during the dinner time. It's short, but it does work. It's a tremendous time to reflect on what's very important in your life. And for me, and for most of us, it's your family. We are here for a short time, and this day, even though it's one day, is a great time to reflect and give thanks for what you have and the life that we do get to enjoy, especially and celebrate it with your family and your kids, and now for me, my grandkids. So it's a great time. So I wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving. I'd like to open up to my council colleagues. Councilwoman Herrick.
Thank you, Council President. And thank you for mentioning Thanksgiving. I'm looking forward to the holiday with my son, but I'd like to say that I'm thankful for our Dearborn residents because even in the most difficult times, no matter what our backgrounds are, what neighborhood we came from, we pitched in and pulled together and find what unites us rather than what divides us. And a lot of that we see on Thanksgiving. That would be food, it would be football, sports, and I'm just grateful to our community as a whole, so thank you. I'd like to also look back. Last weekend was Veterans Day, and I thank the city of Dearborn and Fordson High School for hosting our ceremony this year. I'd like to congratulate our Dearborn Veteran of the Year, David Klein, who had served in the U.S. Army. So congratulations to Veteran Klein. On that note, I'd like to give a shout out to the Dearborn Symphony. The second concert of the season is coming up this Friday, the November 17th at 7:30 p.m. at the Performing Arts Center. And they are doing a special tribute because of Military Family Month. They're doing a special salute to the armed forces, featuring marches, musical salutes, and tunes from military movie soundtracks. And they have special guest vocal performance by the Vanguard Voices. So if you have not been to our wonderful Dearborn Symphony in the past, this is going to be a really uplifting, fun concert for people of all ages. So I encourage you to check it out. Also, Jack Tate, the director of our historical museum, was not able to be with us at the council meeting tonight. He's had a very busy week, but he asked me to make note of some of the things coming up at the Dearborn Historical Museum. First of all, this Friday, they have a special food-related program, Hands-on History, where you can go to the Commandant's quarters and see cooking demonstrations and sample some foods from the 1930s. Although the food isn't actually from the 30s, the recipes are. And Saturday at the Historical Museum is the annual hand-painted porcelain show, which, if you have not been to that, it's amazing what these talented artists paint on porcelain and make available for sale. Wednesday, December 6th is a lecture, Prohibition in Detroit, at the Dearborn Historical Museum. That's at 7 p.m. on Wednesday. And then coming up, kicking off the holidays, Saturday, December 9th at 10 a.m., downtown Dearborn's Jingle Bell Bash is at the Historical Museum with all kinds of games and crafts and activities for families kicking off the holidays. So, wish you well, Jack.
All right, thank you very much, Councilwoman Herrick. Anyone else from my council? Councilman Paris?
Thank you to Councilwoman Herrick for bringing up some of the information about the Veterans Day ceremonies. Also want to shout out to the Dearborn Public Schools, who had a number of ceremonies for Veterans Day also. I was able to attend the Lowry celebration of our veterans, both present and past. So I appreciate the veterans very much. I wanted to bring up too, because at the very beginning of the meeting, that we gave some information about Glenn O'Cray and Christopher Merlot. I just want to make mention that you may want to take a look at social media about Preservation Dearborn. The only reason why I want to bring this up is because I know they're involved in that also, but recently they had a presentation that was talking about homes that have been moved in Dearborn. And it's basically between the 1870s and just over after the year 2000. We've had 80 houses in Dearborn that have been moved in one way or another. So it was quite interesting. So Preservation Dearborn, take a look at it. They've got a Facebook page. But also, because we talked about the Historical Museum, there's been a lot of great stuff coming out of the Historical Museum, their Facebook page recently. Old photographs, old areas of Dearborn, and it just kind of, it's a great thing to see. Really take a look at it. They've really been putting a lot of time and effort into that page. So thank you, and thank you to our vets out there.
Absolutely, thank you, Council. Anything else from my colleagues? Okay, anything from the administration, Mayor?
Thank you, Council President. I think I wanted to make the public aware that the Christmas tree lighting ceremony is on November 20th.
Go ahead.
So we'd love to have the public to come out and participate. That's at 6 o'clock over at the Ford Community Performing Arts Center. We obviously have our new beautiful tree that we planted last year, or replanted, I should say, last year, and it's still going strong. So it'll be exciting, and I'm looking forward to see what Martin and the team put together over in Parks and Rec. And I think I'll just conclude by wishing everybody a happy Thanksgiving. I'm hoping that you all get to spend time with your family and loved ones. My family grew over the last few weeks. I haven't posted about it on social media yet. We're kind of hogging it and enjoying it to ourselves, but 2 under 2 now. 2 beautiful girls, girl dad times 2, and I hope it, girl dad times 20. Got one by the time I'm done. But it's just a great time to be with family. So I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and obviously we'll be here in December to wish you all the Christmas and New Year's well wishes as well.
Thank you, Mayor, appreciate it. Madam Clerk, anything from your department?
No, sir. Thank you.
All right. At this time, we turn to our second public comment. Anybody here in the audience would like to address the council regarding city business, please step forward, state your name and address for the record. Okay, hearing and seeing there is no one here for the public comment, I entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn by Councilman Enos. We are adjourned.